everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and I'm your host of the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Here's where we talk about the connection between creativity and healing by interviewing amazing creatives, spectacular healers, and inspiring people who have used creativity in their healing. What does it mean to be creative? What is creativity? You don't have to write a best-selling book or paint a masterpiece or even play in a rock band. Creativity is in everything that we do, in the ways we think, in the way we run a business. In our everyday lives, we are creative all the time. Let's talk about how we are creative and how creativity helps us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally, right now on the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Hi everyone, Larissa Russell from Creative You. Welcome back to the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. And today I have with me Lisa McGrath. Lisa is a national board certified teacher, life coach, international best-selling author, and speaker who offers inspirational, practical, and spiritual guidance. She teaches women to find clarity, purpose, and direction with the intentional acts that help them achieve their goals and live their intentional life with her monthly online coaching program, A Pilgrimage to Self. Lisa also has an online mentoring program for teachers that focuses on effective teaching practices and protocols, communication, and relationship building, and strategies for achieving a work-life balance, which we all need, especially teachers. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. So can you share some of your story and your path that's brought you here?
I've had an incredible journey. I'm so blessed in many ways, but like most people, there's been obstacles on that path. I started out as a young teenager. I was asked to leave my home. I have a stepmother. And so at 14, I found myself out on the road, homeless, trying to figure out what to do next. And thankfully, learning resilience from being a little kid in an abusive household really allowed me to put one foot forward and to zero in on what I wanted. My life then led to an early marriage and, my children, and I was building something beautiful, so I thought, and my mission was to prove my stepmother how to really raise children and really live a life. But a abusive, dysfunctional, it just traveled, and my life was like thrown on the floor, like building a puzzle, and the puzzle pieces were just knocked over. And I found myself having to rebuild that puzzle. But this time, I didn't have the picture on the box to actually take and make the frame and put it together. I had to rebuild the puzzle, and I had to do it on my own without that picture. And the divorce and then a major health scare, everything led to a spiritual journey for me, for my healing. And that's where Pilgrimage to Self comes from. It's that the journey I took across northern Spain on the Camino to Santiago. And it was all about healing and learning to forgive, experiencing gratitude, and actually finding direction for my life, for purpose. And through prayer and meditation, I heard the God whispers. And the God whispers were, you're a survivor, you're resilient, you have courage. I have all these things I was praying for already. All I have to do now is have to share that with others and allow them to know that they can heal, they can live an intentional life and really enrich not only their lives, but that means everyone that is connected to them, their families, their partners, everyone. It just ripples, that love, it ripples. So that's part of my journey, as I just want to have a major impact and help women survive this, and you can thrive. Not only can you move on from whatever circumstances, and I'm going to say the word circumstances, but I don't quite really believe in circumstances, but you can move on from that. You can create your own life and with intention and purpose. So that's my journey.
And I love that because it's so true. We've had a fairly similar journey. I mean, different, but similar. I left home at 14 for different reasons. What was happening at home. And the climate, political climate at the time with having gay parents in the 70s was not, so being on the streets actually felt safer. And, just that journey, got married young, had kids. I love the fact that I have my children, but my life probably would have taken a different path but it made me who I am. And it's that journey through that makes you who you are, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's all together.
Yeah. So what would you say healing with creativity means to you?
I'm been described as a craftsperson. I love to work with my hands. These are the tools that God gave us. And so I love getting in there with it doesn't matter. My tool could be a brush. It could be my hands. It could be a pen. It could be a needle. And so it's when you go into that zone and you lose track of time and you might miss a meal. And that's crazy to me to think I'd miss a meal. But the time in that zone, whereas I'm just being filled, I'm being restored. And it's almost like that golden light is I'm breathing that in. And it's so intoxicating that time just vanishes away. And so when I take my fabrics and it's tactile, right, I'm feeling them. I'm taking these whole fabrics and cutting them up into smaller pieces, and then I'm sewing them together. It's creative. It's inspirational. Typically, if I'm making something and it's for someone else, I'm praying and putting those good vibes into that object. And then, I receive more than what I give by giving them that gift. And so it keeps on giving. And so when I'm down and I feel like things aren't going my way, because a lot of times we all face these adversities, I can go in the kitchen and I can try a recipe, or I can go to my sewing machine, or I can journal, or I could write and work on something creative. And all of a sudden, whatever I had been thinking about, because my thoughts lead to my feelings, which lead to my actions, I no longer thinking about that. It's moved into a different direction. And that's when, like I said, that golden light, that time is escaping, evaporates. And that's when healing takes place. It's during that pause, that time that you're unplugging, maybe from the computer, unplugging from work, unplugging from everything, and zeroing in on something else. It has a power to wash over your thoughts and to change the direction that mood was sending you. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. And it's one of the reasons that I use creativity to help women heal, because it's that gentle movement, right? I apologize for the sirens in the background if you can hear that. I live downtown, but it's that gentle movement of working through things and not even realizing you've done it, because
Right.
your brain is busy, creating, and all of a sudden you have this inspiration, or you have this aha moment, or something like that. And and that's why I believe so strongly in using creativity in our healing.
Yeah. Have you ever had, I'm sure you have, we had that experience where you're in the middle of creating something and all of a sudden memories bubble up, or something will come up to the surface, and it's like you're seeing it with a different eye. You're seeing it in a different way. And that's kind of magical too, to be able to say, wait a minute, I could step back from this, and I'm more of an observer. I'm witnessing it again, that memory, and then I'm learning from it as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That happens a lot when I'm, in that creative zone. Yeah.
And especially because we usually, the exercises that I do with women have intention behind them. And so even though they're letting go and creating, the intention they set with it, and so then things get uncovered so easily that may have been not so easy otherwise, right? So super important.
Or maybe we're hidden our denial has an opportunity to build that wall and hide those thoughts and feelings. And you just know what a trigger might be that will have them bubble up.
Yeah.
And when they do bubble up, it's great when you're in control in that creative space, that creative mind, to look at them with those fresh eyes. And that's I believe that's when we're going to learn to actually zero in on our power of release, to release whatever the shame, guilt, the pain. We can release that. It no longer serves us. And we begin to creatively know that that's not mine. It's not mine to carry. And so I'm going to let it go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I think we do fairly similar work, maybe in different ways, but we do fairly similar work. So I just think that's wonderful. And
yeah.
So would you say there's a driving force that inspires you?
Yeah, there was a driving force in the beginning, and that was to prove people wrong. It was to prove my stepmother wrong, the naysayers wrong, the ones that said, you're not good enough, you're amount to anything. Those people, when someone tells you that, particularly your adults that are in your life, it could be your parents, a coach, a teacher, even a minister, when they tell you things like that, you might believe them. And a lot of times especially women, when we hear that, we just say, well, why bother? And we give up. We can't give up. We need to make sure that we understand the power of yet. I'm not capable of doing XYZ yet, but I will learn it. I will do it. Earlier you and I were talking about technology, and it's like, I confess, I'm not real, I get by. But at first I knew nothing about technology. And now I've built a website. And it's like, you can do things. And again, it's getting creative and know that it doesn't have to be perfect. I just have to get it going. And it builds momentum. And so now I'm learning to use technology in a way that I never would have imagined. So it started out to prove them wrong. And then I think it has been a paradigm shift where it's like, wow, this is me, and it's okay. And when I moved into that self-love and the self-worth, and I knew I didn't have to prove it to anyone else that it was mine, it just makes it, I just need to be better than I was yesterday. And I'm not in competition with anyone, and I don't have nothing to prove to anyone anymore. And that has probably been my driving force. Is that it's all okay. Yeah.
And it's so true when you stop, and I've felt this for myself when I stopped trying so hard to prove myself to others or be accepted by others or any of those things, and was able to step into my own truth. And then who do I want to impress? I want to impress me. I want to see how much more I can do. I want to see what else I can do, that sort of thing.
Exactly. I mean, we can move on with our lives, or we can move forward. And we have to do it by knowing who we are. Like you said earlier, I left home, I got married, I had these children. Guess what? It's made me who I am today. Mm-hmm. And so when you can recognize that and stop wishing for the past to be different, because you can't go back and change it. You can only reframe how you think about it and how you're going to respond to it. And so that makes it's like adulting 101. I look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
From a different place. And so now I'm just happy with me.
Yeah. Excellent. And that's who you should be happy with.
Yeah. It's like, I don't have to prove, like you said, you don't have to prove it to anyone else.
Mm-mm.
I'm the one that matters.
Yeah.
And for those other people, those naysayers, they're not your people. Maybe they're not your people. Get new people.
I say that a lot, actually.
Really?
The work we do might shift you through different people, and you might have people fall away or leave on purpose, and that's okay. They're not your people.
They're not your people, and that's okay. And so when you're okay with that, when you sit with that, and it becomes your reality, sometimes I had a friend that told me she survived from leukemia by having a bone marrow transplant. And one day she said, Lisa, I survived because I cut the cancer out of my life. Sometimes people can be cancer to your life. And you have to cut that away so that you can survive. And I've never forgotten that.
That's such a beautiful way of saying it. I mean, harsh in one way, but so beautiful in another, because it's like, yes, that toxic cancer in your life, cut it out, right?
Cut it out.
Yeah.
It's not going, it's like a weed. And I tell women all the time, your mind is like a garden. What are you growing? What are you planting? If you allow those negative naysayers, that inner critic, any of that, the weeds to continue to grow, that's what your garden's gonna be. But if you can go in and weed it out and take away what doesn't serve you, you're gonna have a better chance on having the roses or the beautiful blooms. That's your life. The blooms, that garden of your life. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then what would you say is your favorite creative healing modality?
Well, like I said, I have so many because I do like to write, and I love textiles. So I love sewing and my quilting. And as much as I love to listen to music as well, I love to something that can combine my senses. So I might bring in scent, and I might, so I have that. I might have the music. It's something that's going to put me in that zone where I'm going to flow like the river, and it's just going to flow, and the golden light's going to come in. So it could be something, like I said, as simple as going in the kitchen and preparing something that not only is going to nourish my body and my spirit, but it looks beautiful. It nourishes my eyes. It nourishes, because you eat with your eyes first. I love food. And so you eat with your eyes first. And of course, you can smell those aromas. And that's all healing to me. It's what you've created is beautiful. It might not be perfect, and it doesn't have to be. When I started quilting, I learned that, especially when you're sewing triangles and those points, and so, you go drive yourself crazy, right? And I can remember someone saying to me that nothing is perfect. Only God creates perfect things. And this was created by your hands. So that is perfect. And yeah, so it's okay. And so a little story for you. I had an emergency open heart surgery in 2015. And for the longest time, the scar, I wouldn't look at the scar. And I was embarrassed by the scar, and it was terrible. And my son is married to an Asian woman. And so we spent a lot of time talking. And all of a sudden, this Japanese form of pottery, where they heal the pottery with gold, they fill the crack with gold. And I realized that scar has brought me to who I am, right? I survived. It led me on a mission to help others. But now when I look in that mirror, we're not wearing shirts all the way up to here anymore. I look in the mirror and I see it. It's not my favorite thing to see, but I see it differently. I see it as gold. And it was the crack that let the light come in to heal my heart. It's the way God entered me. Yeah. And so yeah, it's how you create and how you see things and your perspective. It has power to heal you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so true. I was just having this conversation about how we look at things will determine sort of how we feel about things, right? So we can change our mood in a moment because of how we choose to look at it. And so it's so important to make those choices. And
And so sometimes, Larissa, that's all we have in our power is how we're going to respond. And so when something happens, we have to make a choice. And so I say, you need to pause, center yourself, connect to yourself, figure out how you want to respond, because that's your power. That's your power. Use it. Use it. It's a strength.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what would you say then is your greatest accomplishment to date?
Survival.
I understand that one. I do.
Yeah, let me pick another one, but that is a big one. I told you about my spiritual pilgrimages, and walking the Camino to Santiago is probably the thing that has changed my life the most. To say that I was, and I didn't do physical exercise, but to say I'm going to go and I'm going to hike the Camino de Santiago. So that means I'm going to walk over 500 miles. And I'm going to go straight up the Pyrenees Mountains and go all the way across Spain. Even my doctor's like, no, you're not. You can't do that. You're not well enough for that. And it's like, don't give me those limiting beliefs. Because what I think about, I can do. And so I did it. And was it easy? No, it was tough. But I did it. So I want to say that that's probably one of my best and most powerful accomplishments, is the fact that I not only dreamt it and knew that I was called to do it, but I did it. Not just once, I did it twice. And I was actually supposed to do it again this year, but of course that changed things with the pandemic. But I'll go back and I'll do it again. And it's a very healing process for me. It's walking.
I love that. And, you've inspired me. I actually did search it out and was like, I think I would love to do this. I really do. I think it would be just amazing trip to do. Mm-hmm. So did you do it all at once, or did you do it break it up into?
No, I went for 40 days, 40 nights. And what I did was called the Trinity. And so the idea is to walk to Santiago Cathedral to get the Compostela, the certificate that says you walked. But as I was going, I knew I wanted to walk to the ocean, to a place called Finisterre, which is known as the end of the world, and get another Compostela. So as I'm going, I found out there was a third one if you went to Mesilla. And I was like, a third one? And of course, my son said, Mom, you're such an overachiever. And I went, I've got to walk faster so I can get the third one too. And so I got the trilogy. I got 3 of them.
In 40 days.
In 40 days. And so it was just, it is a spiritual journey, but you do not have to be religious. Actually, I like to say, and I've heard this many times, it's 3 journeys. The first one is very physical. And as you're going, your body's getting stronger each day with each step. Then it moves into an emotional journey, because now it's flats, the meseta, and you're walking, and these memories are bubbling up, and you don't know why. Where is this coming from? And so it's more of an emotional time. And again, it's healing. And the third part is spiritual, because as you're moving in to each village, there's more churches, right? It's more spiritual. And of course, you go to the cathedral and you get that Compostela, and it's all written in Latin, and they put your name. Oh, it's just, it's powerful. Powerful.
That sounds amazing. You did inspire me to check it out, and I love Spain. So I'm like, I would really like to do that. That accomplishment too, that accomplishment of doing that. You've inspired me. We'll see what the world has in store for us, but
next year. Yeah. But here's the thing. They say it's called the way, right? They call it the way. One of the lessons is you do it your way. The same is with life, that pilgrimage, that journey to self. We all have to take that journey. And we're not in competition with other people. There are people that can't do it all in one go. So they arrange to go for 2 weeks at a time, and they do a piece of it. Then the next year they go back and they continue on. That's okay. That's all right. You do it your way, and you learn your lessons your way.
Yeah. Which is so true. What works for someone may not work for you. And Yeah, absolutely. So if you could change one aspect of our society through your work, what would that be?
Okay. I would want, I'm gonna use the word women, but I would want more than women. I would want every person to have self-love, self-worth. Because when we value ourselves, we teach people how to treat us. We have more confidence. We have the ability to dream and then take action to make those dreams come true. And I think that if people had more self-love and respect for themselves, our world would be a different place. We would know we have more in common than what separates us. And people don't want to recognize that. They only look for differences a lot of times. And so I believe that if I could do something, I had that magic wand, I'd want everyone to have that self-love and confidence, to know that we all have a place and we all belong, and everything's okay.
I love that. Yeah, and so true. We do have so much more in common than we have differences, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And like we said earlier, one way is not the right way. My way's not the right way. His way's not. It's the way.
Mm-hmm.
Find your way.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So then what inspirational advice would you give to someone who's struggling?
To get quiet. A lot of times when we're struggling, that's too much chatter, okay? Too much, whether it's verbally or in our minds, and we're not quiet enough to listen to the God whispers, to let the spirit, to let the universe speak to us. It's in our, when I always say my meditation and prayer, I say my prayer, but then I have to stop, because it's in that meditation that God speaks to me. And I need to be open to listening to that. So when we're struggling, if we can get quiet and we can get centered ourselves, and we can really get in tune to who and what we want to be, we allow those answers to come, that intuition. And so, I think that's what I would say. I would say just get in touch and center and quiet yourself. And if you're having troubles, again, I'm a writer. I like journal prompts and things. And so I would just encourage you to get quiet and ask your future self. Your future self has already learned all the lessons, right? They went through and they've learned. Ask that future self for direction and guidance. And then get quiet and listen. Mm-hmm. Don't keep talking about your struggles. Don't concentrate on the negative. Concentrate on what you do have. You have the power of strength. You have the power of wisdom and understanding. You have the power of imagination. You have the power of creativity. You have the power to release. Connect to those powers. Just because there's a gap right now, because you're facing a struggle, doesn't mean it's not there. Reconnect.
Oh, so you just have such a gentle way about you. Like, I think we say many of the same things, but you're just so much more gentle. And like, I could just listen to you forever. Because I started my morning meditation and journaling class at the beginning of COVID for that very reason, right? Because we just needed to have a calm, centering place to start our day, with everything being so unknown at the time. Well, still unknown, but
yeah.
And it has the women who take part in it just are so grateful to be able to do that and spend that time, with their meditation and their journaling, and then we have a discussion afterwards. And it's that listening in, right? We talk a lot about that and paying attention and being mindful and
Yep. And so what you're doing is you're setting the tone for your day. Mm-hmm. And that is what you're doing. So you're being purposeful, And you use the word intention. I talk about living an intentional life is what I teach women to do, is live an intentional life. And so that's what you're doing with your morning pages, with your morning journal prompt, with your meditation, is you're setting the tone for your day. And you are taking control of your day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important. So important. So yeah. Yeah.
That's good work. That's powerful.
Well, and that's what the ladies who join me every morning say, right? They just love starting their day that way. And they come back month after month because of it, because they get to do that. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so then, do you have an inspirational quote maybe that sums up your life journey?
Yes, several. So that's a hard one, really, because I have several. I really do. You got to remember, as a writer, as a teacher, I was, an artist. I taught art for many years. There's a lot of stuff there. But I love the theater as well. And when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a playwright. And I had an English teacher tell me, no, I couldn't, that I was a girl, so I had to get married and have children. So I have some favorite playwrights, but one of my favorite plays is Pygmalion. It's by George Bernard Shaw, and they made it. They made it into a musical. I can't think of the name. My Fair Lady. I don't remember, but can you think of it? They made it into a musical. George Bernard Shaw said over his dead body, but as soon as he died, they made it into number one musical.
Is it My Fair Lady? I feel like it is, isn't it?
I think it's My Fair Lady, where she changes, right? And Professor Higgins takes her, and so that's the Pygmalion story. But George Bernard Shaw said something that really intrigued me, and he said that he didn't believe in circumstances. And I said that earlier, right? I don't know that. Don't blame your circumstances for who you are or what you are, because you still have the power to change that. But he said that when you go out, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but when you go out there and it's your job to find the circumstances you want. And if you can't find them, create them. So be the master of your own life. Be that master artist and create the life you want. Each day you wake up, you have that blank canvas. If you don't like what was painted yesterday, change it today. Use a different brush. Use a different color. Make a collage. Use fabrics. Use found objects. But you have that power. You are the creator of your life. If you don't like the circumstances you're in, change them. Find those circumstances you want. Can't find them? Create them. Yeah. So that's kind of something that I've always thought about on my journey, is that here's what I want, and actually finding what you want, sometimes it's difficult. So I was able to identify what I didn't want. And when I understood what I didn't want anymore, all of a sudden I was opening myself up to new paths, new circumstances. Yeah. So that would probably be a powerful one.
And it's so true what you were saying about, because often the women that I work with get stuck, right? And they don't know what they want. And knowing what you don't want is definitely the first step in that. Right? Because you start to weed out a lot, and then you can start to have some clarity to what you actually do want. Yeah.
Right, and that clarity will provide you with direction. And when you can zero in on what brings you joy, what brings your life meaning, and you have that purpose, like your purpose, we're going to change the world by reaching out and having an impact on women. I mean, that's our mission, because we know the possibilities that are out there and what will change in their lives, in our lives, just watching it happen. It's just incredible. And so, I think that we have this power, and I'd hate to see it be, swindled away or hoarded. That's another thing. People think that are hoarded. But no, once you zero in on your purpose, you zero in on your values, and you say, that's that's not what I want. You can now negotiate for what you do want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to just thank you so much for this, Lisa. And is there anything else you want to add that we maybe didn't discuss today that you'd like to share?
I think just kind of going off of what we said, because we both do the similar things, and we want the end results to be the same. We want individuals to know their own powers and that healing and that they can create. I guess I'd leave you with the three letters. Y-E-T. Even if you're struggling, even if you feel like you're in a rut, don't think that it's the end. It's not a dead end. It's just a crossroad. You just need the power of yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't have a decision yet. I don't know how to do that yet. And then do something about that. Take the next step. And once you start taking one step after another, you're going to build momentum. Once you build that momentum, you're going to find that I'm sitting here, I told you I'm sitting here and I'm watching the river. And I use the analogy that I am the river. I'm going to keep flowing. And all of those rocks, I'm going to go over them, around them. And, you can wear them down. But I'm going to keep flowing. I'm not going to stop. What's that? Is it a Tibetan saying? You can never step in the same river twice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the power of just do it. Do it.
Yeah. Oh, so wonderful. Great final words. Great final words. So thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I just love it. And I just think that we've collaborated on a number of projects, including that international best-selling book.
Yes.
And wait for more collaborations and more things to happen that are going to, again, ripple out the love.
Yes, I love that. I look forward to more collaborations with you. I really do. And to our listeners, we will see you again next week. And in the meantime, I wish for you amazingly creative days. Absolutely. Do you know about the courses and programs that we offer at Creative View? Meditation and journaling in our Morning Calm program. Step into Your Authentic Self is a program to help you heal from past traumas and start believing in yourself so you can be your healthiest, happiest you. We even have a Healing with Creativity monthly membership where you get healing projects twice a month, plus so much more. Keep watch as we're always adding more classes and programs. Plus we offer free challenges, access to summits and retreats as we love sharing. Click below to see what we have happening now.